Nothing can separate me from your love so free. Someone told me about your love, how you came from heaven above, how you came.
Massive and Crow, I always say ish then. You hear me? I don't joke thing with the pod. We're there. If we do this thing and do it real, we have to try to put some professionalism in the thing. And being two men of excellence, I will try to be at least. Well, if you have ever read a Napoleon Black book, you know he's a man of excellence. Right? We don't know about me. We just try. We try to fill the mother's shoes, right? But yeah, we have, it's not really murk as much as it is just placing our thing on screen so you know exactly what you watch and where the information coming from. Right, again, I'm your boy Robert Green, and with me is Mr. Napoleon Black, Pastor Black. Big up yourself over there in a brother.
Uh,
Yeah, man, and as we say, Massive and Crew, welcome to everybody. We have persons watching from England, we get to understand, from the States, and of course, most people want to view this thing, they are right in a yard. So big up on yourself and thanks for supporting the thing. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. That is a thing you're doing YouTube. If you don't say that, you're not a YouTuber, right? All right, so welcome again. And this week we're going to look at a topic that needs to be examined from our perspective, right? We are, well, Napoleon is a father, but we are men of God, and there are certain things that, you know, we have to address, not because the church is not addressing it. We're not saying that because they do have some churches that speak about these issues, and we big up like Family Life that has been dealing with these issues.
Yeah, man, for years.
Not a church organization, but it's a ministry. Right, and they have been dealing with these issues for years, for well, long time. From I go JTS 1996, they were on the campus and they moved off. So you do the maths, right? So the church has an answer to these things, and we are just putting them out on this platform. What are we talking about this week? This week we're talking about daddy issues. And boy, if you have ever dated a girl with daddy issues, Napoleon, tell your Rasta, well, or Rasta, Christian, it's not an easy task, right? It's not an easy task. And we want to assist in identifying these things. We want to look at the cause of these issues, if you want to call them issues, because they are issues. And we want to see how we can combat these. Right? Because we always have to end by giving you solutions. So for the next few minutes, just stick and stay. Welcome, blood. Boom! As Napoleon to me always have to say. So now, daddy issues, what are they? Is this really a North American thing, or do Jamaican young ladies experience daddy issues?
Yeah. I think it is a significant issue that women the world over contend with. But I want to suggest, Bobby, that it affects us here in the Caribbean at a very, very serious level.
Yeah.
And at a very, very serious rate. That the issue really is the issue of where father was, the place of father in the early development of that girl. When she was forming her views of sex and sexuality, when she was forming her views of trust, when she was forming her views of just trying to understand the world and her place in the world, all of those issues that you hear the psychologists and so on talk about. Where was dad in that process? Tragically, in our case here in the Caribbean, here in Jamaica, largely we have a family structure, and we have been living with a family structure of, in terms of father mother, it has been more at best described as serial something. In other words, a man stays with a woman for X amount of years and then he moves on to another relationship. So he's there for a while. Or what we might also find is that a father is in the home, but he never connected with his daughter. He's present. But in our culture, we never get connection between father and daughter. And so because that has never happened, the first person who tells her that he loves her is going to be somebody who is looking her sexually. So there's that disconnect as well. The third disconnect is that we live in a world where, and a culture, especially here in the Caribbean, where the man is never affirmed in his maleness
Mm.
if he expresses gentler emotions,
Yeah.
for want of a better term. So the girl never sees him as approachable. And mom reinforces it. Wait until your father come.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And if he expresses any sense of gentleness, if he smiles, if he hugs, if he kisses his daughter, no, no, that is something. So
Mm-hmm.
again, our culture does not allow the father in that way to express himself properly to his daughter, so
Yeah.
the daughter can develop in a wholesome way as she's trying to find herself in the world, as she tries to establish proper relationships in the world, in the space in which she has to function, and when she has to leave, whether she's going to fall apart,
Mm.
break up, or she's going to be a healthy, strong girl facing life now as a woman.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
are some of the issues we are dealing with when we talk about father issues in respect to our girls and our women.
Yeah.
So that's it in a broad frame.
Yeah. And oftentimes we approach fatherlessness,
Yes.
whether physically or emotionally, for the guys. Like, you know, we
Yeah.
always talk about a boy needs his
The
dad, which
father
is true.
wound.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
father wound, which is different, obviously, from father issues. That we will need
Mm.
to address. We have been doing that, but we'll need to probably
Yeah.
do that as well. Speaking
Hmm.
about father wounds from the
Yeah.
male's perspective. So David Kessler was having a conversation with a friend, and the friend, you know, we always complain, but a person just know which button to push.
Hmm.
Them know if to push my button, them know if to get under my skin.
Yeah.
And Kessler sagely replied, it's not who push your buttons, but it's who has programmed you.
Ah.
And that is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah.
A lot of times women react to things that their boyfriends do, that men in the society do, not just because of what the person is doing, but because of the programming
Absolutely.
or lack of programming that happened from the father.
Yeah.
And we are in again family month. June is family month, and this program will be uploaded during the whole family month. And we are trying to say we want to balance the thing. We want to make sure that, you know, females understand that some of the stuff that you may have gone through, some of the stuff that you may have had to deal with in life, and even put yourself through, because the father issues, daddy issues as well speak to some stuff that you'll allow yourself to go through. Now,
Absolutely.
we want to say, again, we're not trying to broad brush every female that react a particular way to say you have daddy,
Or every male for that matter.
or every male, right? We're
Yeah.
not broad brush nobody. But these
Mm.
are issues that are there and we are dealing with it. So we may speak in general terms without specifying certain things sometimes. Know that we know that we may state the rule, sometimes we are stating the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Right? So give us that little leverage, let me make that disclaimer before we're accused of anything like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So
Yeah,
now,
man. Yeah.
how do we help our female viewers to identify whether or not they are suffering from or need to probe to see if there are some underlying daddy issues in their lives?
Yeah. What we have to appreciate is that we are we are shaped in our environment, and that's
Mm-hmm.
important for us to remember. So we just don't drop out of the sky angry, jealous, bitter, etc., etc. A lot of what happens to us comes out of the environment in which we find ourselves.
Yeah.
And the first place in which that formation happens, obviously, is in the home,
Yep.
in the family. And the truth is that the role of father minimized. We don't talk about it much. We are in this part now where it's Father's Day and all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't have serious conversations about how father has informed
Yeah.
and how father has impacted thinking and
Mm-hmm.
how that thinking now informs and impacts behavior.
Yeah.
So while we're not blaming anybody for any action, because every action that we take is a consequence of a choice we make.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So we are still responsible for our choices. But our thinking is going to be impacted significantly by the way in which those early formation issues have been managed and dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important in the consideration. So if your father is never present, you as a young woman growing up, as a more mature woman now growing up, when you begin to form male relationships, that fact that your father has never been present is going to inform how you as a woman deal with that male figure in your life. In
Yeah,
other words, for some, there's going to be that sense that, don't invest too much. He'll never be around.
true.
He's going to leave at some point. Now, it if we think about it, that shouldn't be. But as a child, when those early formation issues are taking place, when the mind is being put together, as it were, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what is important, what is not important, what is good, what is bad, what is preferable, what is priority, and all of those, when that process is taking place, if it is left in that girl's mind that the male figure is never going to be, and we hear it,
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
other words, I know you're not going about
Yeah,
later
man.
on. When crisis come, you're gone. So I can't invest in this relationship because you are never going to be around for long.
Yeah.
And a lot of our women, our young women, understand this, that I can't put my heart into this. You know why? Because if I put my heart in this, I'm going to lose. And again, a large part of that is what they saw in their relationship with their father and their mother, or their who are the significant persons who are in that early formation stage in their own development.
Yeah.
That's one thing that has to be dealt with.
Yeah.
That
And
father is never physically around. Yeah, I'm connected biologically.
yeah, yeah.
And if you hear the narrative, Bobby, you hear a lot of these women say, boy, I can't trust. That very often is the root of it.
Yeah, we see this a lot in our society. And as you mentioned, trust. The question I was going to ask you, we speak about investing in a relationship,
Yeah.
right? But what are some of the things that should be invested in a relationship that a female may withhold because she is struggling with these daddy issues?
Yeah. And obviously, the first one is trust.
Yeah.
As a counselor, I'm sitting here with a young man and a young woman, and we're talking about trust. And the question is, how much do you trust him?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I trust him, but I trust him 50%.
Yeah.
And you're wondering what's happening there. And she says the other 50% is for insurance. Insurance against what? That he may leave, that he may hurt me, all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of variables. Where is that coming from? Very often, it is coming from what she has learned in how her parents, especially how her father treated her mother.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is what, or the significant male figures around her treated the significant female figures. So I have been seeing issues of adultery, issues of dishonesty, issues of cheating
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship. So because I see that, I now know that for myself I can't trust, because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing might happen to me.
Yeah. And
Fathers
this
have done
this
that.
this kind of comes from the fact that a child comes into the world trusting. Like, I don't
Yes.
know, a child that is in their earlier years that struggles with trusting people in them
Yeah.
lives, trusting mommy,
Mm-hmm.
trusting daddy. And so whatever male figure is within the first training ground, the family, the home, and
Mm-hmm.
that child trusts that male figure, right? And then there are disappointments, and not just a one-time disappointment, but a lifetime of
Mm-hmm. Of
disappointment.
disappointment.
I can understand and empathize with a female who comes and says, boy, you know what? I'm going to put my guard where trust is concerned. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we have to begin to see how we move past these things. right? So we are saying if you find it difficult, you have been in relationships and you just can't trust male figures, maybe even at work, because this is not just within the relationship, but male figures, any person that is a male that's in your life, oftentimes is meted with distrust. You
Yes.
may get to the point of trust, but it's after a whole heap, like a decathlon of events.
Yes.
Please, you have to prove yourself, you have to do
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
And we are saying that may be, a telltale sign of somebody who
That something
is
is wrong.
struggling with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where do we deal with self-esteem? We're Christians and we tell people self-esteem, you really value much and blah, 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 is what God think about you. Right? And self-love. We are afraid of this word self-love in the church because it has certain narcissistic connotations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But a female who is dealing with these issues, naps, will
Yeah.
she be able to, go walk around sprightly, feeling confident? Let's confidence is a good Christian word.
Yeah.
Feeling confident about herself and approaching
Yeah.
life situations with these things, or is she more likely to suffer from like low self-esteem and those kind of things?
Absolutely. Yeah. The girl whose father has never said to her, "I love you."
Yeah,
She ever try, she got grow not having that sense of valid. That's the thing, she's seeking validation,
yeah,
and again, when she becomes adult, when she comes into a relationship, she always wants her husband, her man, her boyfriend to say, "I value you. You're important to me. You're
yeah, yeah,
beautiful." She always wants that. And if she's not getting that from her significant other, she's going to come out of that relationship
yeah.
and seek it elsewhere. Why? Because her father didn't do that for her.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we are hearing things about there's some things that mothers can do, that fathers can do. Again, we run a dangerous game, we play a dangerous game when we talk like that,
Yeah,
because there are some things that only a father can give a daughter. There are some things that only a father can give a son. In this case, that significant male figure
mm-hmm.
must be there to be able to say to that girl in her formative years, "I love you, I value you,
Yeah,
you're important, you're significant, you are wanted." All of those things that are now going to help her to feel secure in herself.
yeah,
So that when she's walking on the road and you say, "Yo, a check for you," that not shake her, because she already
yeah,
settled in who she is,
yeah, yeah.
in how that formation, that settlement has already taken place. The tragedy is that many of our women as children never experienced that from their fathers,
True.
in too many cases. And again, as you said at the outset, Bobby, sorry, we're not saying that this is so for every male. We're just
Yeah,
saying that a part of the hurt and the injury that so many of our women have been suffering is that their fathers never said to them, "I love you."
true.
Fathers never hugged them. Fathers never embraced them. Father never made them feel worthy or significant. And so when they are out in that public space now, they go to the first man who says, "I love you." They go to the first man who says, "You are beautiful." And
Yeah,
very often that man is not telling her that she's beautiful or "I love you" as an end in itself. That man who is saying those things has other motives and intentions. Very often it is trying to go between her legs. And that's a problem. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it ties up with so many things. And again, when the man gets what he wants, she feels deflated.
Mm.
And again, she keeps on searching for what father never gives her. And then she goes into another relationship, still feeling less than and still wanting validation.
Yeah,
Part of the problem is so many of our women are still hungry for validation because father never gave her validation. Father took that away from her, and she's left angry, hurting, with a whole heap of self-esteem
mm-hmm.
issues. That's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. It is important for us to understand as men and the position, and we're not, this is no chauvinism kind of vibes. But the position that you have been placed in within the family, if you take that away, which again, sadly, our sociological situation kind of bends towards that, and it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But women need to hear solid expressions of emotions without a sexual undertone.
Absolutely.
And the father is the person who is chief to do this within the household, right? And we may need to call some of the men in church as well, you know, because we believe in mentorship, to be able to, with a mother present within a safe environment.
Absolutely.
You know, because you can't, again, because of the mistrust, you can't just fly upon somebody who is already have certain trust issues and be saying these things.
Yeah.
You know, you have to create a safe environment where these words can come off your lips to persons, girls who may be broken. And we're not saying females that being validated by a man is a bad thing. We spoke about that, and we said that Jesus Christ validated the females that he came in contact with. But we are saying you can become addicted to validation where you can never get enough. The man get up and tell him love you 20 times in a day, but you still want 30 more upon that.
Yeah.
Right? So even when validation is there, you are never satisfied. That is what you are saying.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that the person in a toxic relationship and the man not tell him love you. We're not saying that, because we understand that females need these things. You know, affection is important. But we are saying that even when it is present, you cannot get enough of it. Right?
It's like a drug.
Yeah. It becomes
because the foundational affirmation wasn't
there.
So nothing is ever going to be enough. And Bobby, we might just want to talk a little bit about, and it has been something we see it in the news. We see women in very, very toxic relationships.
I was going to bring it up, bro.
Yeah.
I was going to get right up to this. Continue.
Why is it that our sisters remain with a man who is beating her?
Yeah.
Remain with a man who is abusing her in all kinds of. Why is it that she left, she go back her mama, he comes, he says some nice things, she comes back home after negotiation, and the process starts. Why is it that it seems as though some of our sisters have this thing to remain in these toxic settings? Is it true, as we hear in our culture, or is it a part of the cultural myth that some of our sisters say that if the man don't beat her,
he doesn't
love her? I've heard two sides of the stories. Some of our sociologists and so on say it is not true. Others have said it is true. I have heard it with my own ears. The sister said, boy, if the man and beat me, him really don't love me, something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So there's a part of the narrative. But why is it, the question, why is it that she stays? And it seems to me, and some of the literature is also saying that a part of it is that some of our sisters are more comfortable with the familiar. That is what them see happening in my relationship, in mama's relationship, in auntie's relationship, in our relationship of first contact. And so staying in that safe place is better than risking something else. So you'll hear somebody say, "Why? We're married for 30 years, so we're not going to do else." Or we're invested in this relationship already, so we can't do anything else. Or they give some reason why they don't leave that relationship. And very often it is that thing that has been planted in our head from early on. It is a familiar thing. It is a done thing. It is a thing that I know. And so now to do otherwise is to risk something that very often our sisters are not willing to risk. It's tragic, but it is true. Again, we're not saying it to beat up on anyone, but just to say it as a part of the reality that we here in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, have to contend with. That the cultural dynamic forces people to think that they must stay in a relationship in which they are being murdered, in which
Yeah.
they are being abused, in which somebody has his body weighing her down and she just can't move because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
At that
Yeah.
me used to, at that me say I'm to my mother, me don't know what else to do. And so it feeds a kind of powerlessness in the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? The tragedy is, Bobby, she passes it on to her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is the empowered woman now who says to her daughter, that not happened to you. She walks out of that relationship. She goes and she establishes herself elsewhere with her daughter and says to herself, damn, no, this not happened to you. And
Yeah.
begins
Yeah.
to shape a new paradigm for her.
Yep.
That is what is going to make the difference in some of the cases.
Yeah. And like I can talk personally of my mother,
Mm,
and looking back, my mother and her father had absolutely no relationship. I have never met my grandfather,
mm,
my maternal grandfather. Never met him.
mm,
And
mm,
he was alive up until I was a teenager, I think. Right? He lived in Christiana, and I went to Christiana a number of times at camp, and I've
mm,
never had the opportunity to meet him because there was just a toxic relationship between himself and my mother. Right? When my mother got in relationship with a particular her husband, who later became her husband, and he had
mm,
stopped the abuse. Let me say that, right? He had stopped the physical
mm,
abuse. But she was with him. She would never walk out. At no point did I hear my mother tell him, listen, come out and don't come back.
mm,
It was never said. And I had two older brothers and we grew up in the garrison. So if
mm.
she had said that, men would
Got
have
to
come
leave.
to her and said, yo, the woman said, come back our yard, so you can't come
Yeah,
back our
yeah.
yard. So
Mm-hmm.
there was an out.
Yeah.
And maybe we had to talk to the church as well because we have to provide. I strongly believe that if we know that females are in abusive relationships and want to get out,
Mm.
and we don't provide an out, that we are erring, we are really not operating within the spirit of Christ.
Absolutely.
To tell a woman to stay in an abusive relationship where she's being beaten, it is not Christ-centered. Right? And we have to start to provide outs for females who want to get out of these situations. And the ones who don't want to get out, we have to start to tell them that they need to get out because these things are toxic relationships. And it is oftentimes, as a result, again, one balance thing, of that primary relationship between father and daughter that was not there or was tarnished or she didn't get what she wanted from it. And therefore, you start to stick in these situations. Or as Nap says, it is the familiar. You just see this and you think, boy, this is how relationship should be. Like man for little man. Right? And it feeds it. There's a thing, Naps. Started, well, kind of came to fore with the soft porn 50
Yes.
Shades.
Yes, yeah.
Right? And this kind of choking the woman till she pass out or near pass out and these kind of things that sometimes females actually do thrive on. And we're not going in nobody's bedroom, but we are saying that you have to check your heart. Where is this coming from? Where is the desire to be smacked in the face coming from? And the next thing that we see sometimes, Napoleon, is that let's say the woman gets a good man, right? But she tries to do stuff sometimes to elicit jealousy from the man, to bring certain toxic ingredients into the relationship,
Well,
right? So the man is
even,
a good man, he's jealous. Him see a friend and him just pass and say, oh, babes are good. And, I'm here upon the phone talking to a male, obviously him don't show any negative reaction. And you get offended because you're supposed to be jealous.
yeah, but
Yeah, go ahead,
even,
Naps.
even before we get there, Bobby, I want us to explore just a little bit more before we go to the jealousy issue. Just a little bit more. Why would a sister? She's on the floor. She's being choked by this man, and she says to me as counselor, "He never really licked me." What
Well,
is
she's
happening
right.
there?
It's a stupid response, but she's right.
He never really licked me, and I didn't mean troubling. Where is that coming from?
And
Again,
it has
that
to.
is coming from how the mind has been trained to think
Programmed,
about
if you
male
want.
violence.
Yeah.
And it is again coming from how the father has been allowed to treat a mother, how that significant male figure has been allowed to get away with. And we hear it in the narrative. And we hear women still insisting that him never mean for hurt me. Where is it coming? Largely, it is coming from that place. I'm just on the other side of what's happening at church, Bobby, because I don't remember which one of our leading brothers, he used to believe that divorce was allowed where there was desertion and adultery. But he now believes, I'm trying to remember who it is, but he now believes that we can now separate and divorce where there is abuse. And
I think I heard Clinton going down that line,
It wasn't Clinton, it was one of the brothers overseas.
Okay. But yeah, I think Clinton has been leaning towards that recently as well, too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear. I'm very happy to hear. Because there's this notion in the church that you pick me, eat me. But what if we pick poison? We must still eat it? No, and we have this notion in church that because we are married, marriage is a prison life sentence in that sense. And this is why people have this attitude to an understanding of marriage that have no place in the scriptures.
Yeah.
That even if he's cheating, even if he's doing horrible things to you, stay so that you can be a model of holiness and righteousness and godliness, and who knows, you may save him. I don't know if that was the intent of the writer when he penned that concept in terms of loyalty and integrity, because I don't know if he's saying take the beating. But church has taught a narrative about, and again, remember that largely the church is male-led. The model remains male. And it is again men who seem to be affirming some things that are unhealthy and destructive, and that depart from the message of Jesus. And that has to be fixed. That has to be fixed in the thinking in church. That has to be fixed in how our men are being taught. And I was with a group last night, and it was amazing just to hear some of those young men just sharing their hearts and thoughts about what they want to be and what they want to be for their children. It was remarkable just in terms of just hearing them wanting a different paradigm for their children. And for their sons, should they go, for instance, to a Cornwall college, what may or may not happen to him there, So there are those narratives, Bobby. And I'm glad that a church can have that conversation, a church, young people sitting down and talking like that. I don't know where else that is happening. And that is where we must have a big part of the conversation.
We may need to do a vox pop on the road to just try to get, within churches, to try to get this feedback, because we do know that these things are out there, bro. And I'm just saying, I really can't fathom. No, I don't know, I'm trained theologian like you or Clinton or these men, but in my heart, I really just cannot see why we would want somebody to stay in a relationship with them. You see them come at church and them bust up. Why? For me, that is just something that God does not accept. You get me? And we may need to just flesh that out and work it out. How do we deal with our females, our sisters, married women who are under these kind of situations? And it really saddens me, because I grew up seeing this face to face with my mother. And you grew up in the garrison a whole time, it's a man beat the woman and them kind of thing there. And it has never sat well with me, and I vowed that I would not do this to any woman I'm with. Right? I prefer to walk away and go ball or drive out and stuff. But we are just saying, females, you have to come to the root cause of this. And maybe daddy's around. I'm not sure if there is a conversation to be had with him. In some of our circumstances, daddy don't want that conversation. And if that is a situation, we are saying, let us seek counseling. Go somewhere. We recommended Family Life Ministries in Kingston. We have Fresh Bread Ministries International in Montego Bay that does this kind of counseling. And Napoleon is over there in Marvel. It does this kind of counseling. And if you contact us, we have persons all across Jamaica. Thank God for JTS. We have a network, a link across Jamaica that we can find somebody in your neck of the woods at least to start a conversation with.
Yeah.
And then you can take it further than that. Toxic relationships, not
Yeah.
acceptable.
Church, sadly, church has been one of the greatest enablers of toxic Christian marriages because it has allowed men to get away with beating their women.
Yeah.
It has allowed men to get away with abusing their daughters. And there has not been enough to help men be liberated in their thinking in respect to how they treat their wives
Yeah.
and how they treat their daughters. And whereas the church should be the bedrock in reshaping thinking, too often, Bobby, too often, it has done the very opposite. So
Yeah.
a girl cannot come to church and say exactly what's happening to her. You know what she's told? Go and pray about it. No, I'm not knocking prayer, I'm a pastor. But surely, isn't that a kind of escapism rather than confronting issues and dealing with them properly so that that sister, that girl can know that apart from feeling dirty, apart from feeling abused, apart from feeling sinful, she can find redemption, she can find transformation, she can find a place of uplift in a community that is going to support her out of the brokenness that she has been living in.
Yeah.
I am very, very concerned about it in respect to how we as church have facilitated toxic relationships while we're all at church lifting up holy hands and all of that. It's
Bro,
a contradiction. It needs to be fixed.
the thought was going through my head, looking at different institutions in
Yes.
society. And I concluded just for 2 minutes, and I've been racking my mind to see what other institution has, at least on paper, mechanism to facilitate wholesome family life, except the church. Right? At least on paper, well, if we want to go to paper, Bible, we have something that we can offer, that we can look into.
Absolutely.
And unearth. We always start our narrative at Genesis 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
And it is there, this the two becoming one, and then bringing whoever else comes into that relationship into this oneness.
Yes.
And there's
in the
we can't leave it to the
safety.
school.
Yeah.
Workplace now gonna do it. The church, we as Christian men, Christian leaders, we have to recognize that we must push the family mandate. We have to push that. We have to push that. You have to push that, and a wholesome family life. Wholesome family life. It's our response. I think God put that in our bosom, and we have not been looking at it.
Absolutely.
Right? We try to get a good church going and all these kind of things. But as you said, Naps, the primary element or agent of formation is the family.
Absolutely.
It's his family. So we have to, because you're a pastor. I just want to youth pastor. And we try to start the conversation by young people.
And I'm proud of you. I'm congratulate you for the approaches I've been taking. I've been kind of listening to you on this side. You're doing a tremendous job.
Thanks, bro. I have to try because I want to shape. I want a different generation to follow me. I can't and that's what I have to do. So we have to kind of get this into people's mind that we cannot have a young couple come up in our church and the father goes about creating father wounds or father daddy issues. We have to farm the family and farm the family well.
Yeah. And then, even before we go back to the jealousy issue, we have, and again, a part of the conversation you had last evening is, I hear your pastor saying that his family is first. And not his church. Did you hear that? And that was a remarkable statement. I wish more of our leaders would say that openly so that there can be a clear understanding, not that you're dismissing your call in terms of ministry and so on, but understanding what family ought to mean and what belonging to this. This girl is daughter and she's calling you father, and what that must mean first and foremost. Beyond anything else. It's very, very important. And too often in the dialogue, we think that we're being spiritual when we make certain decisions, when we make certain choices that in the end hurt, destroy, debilitate, and set back a woman, and later on a relationship she ends in, and later on the children that come out in that from that relationship, and the
Yeah, yeah,
multiplied effect. That has to be fixed. And it's a
yeah.
serious, serious issue.
Yeah, we as we said, building blocks.
Yeah,
Before
man.
there was church, Israel ministry, there was Adam and Eve,
Absolutely.
family. And we
Yeah.
have to retain that. We have to put it in. I remember hearing Miles Monroe putting it in that order.
Yeah.
Family, primary, church, secondary, ministry. Right? So he had that kind of tier system in his life and how he looked at things. And I can tell you, like my pastor had a joke to him the pod. Right? Had a joke thing in the pod. They take nothing if him fly out, if him daughter buck her toe. Right? He's that kind of person. And I really admire, he's one of the persons I look at and really admire just how much he's a family man.
Yeah, man.
You get me? So shout out, Rev. Because we know you go watch the same speed.
Yeah.
You know?
Impressive.
So
Just hearing him saying it, impressive.
yeah,
You know,
man.
we,
Yeah.
we do a ministry called Path Ministries, and at the
Yeah,
heart
yeah.
of Path, as you know, Bobby, is working with pastors and church leaders and their families to deal with and to resolve some of these very, very painful issues that come up that way,
Yeah,
especially on this point that we're discussing, especially in how a pastor and father, church leader and father deal with daughter
yeah.
and giving her sense of identity so that she knows who she is and she can function properly in the wider context.
Yeah.
But we're talking
And
about jealousy.
yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about jealousy, and what is it that causes a girl to always feel that she must go and search her man phone?
Boy, bro, that thing there, though. You see that phone thing there? Yo, it's like,
Yeah.
because it is, I've heard so many of my brethren. I know a man who them have to take off the fingerprint thing off of the phone, bro. Because while they were asleep,
Yeah, man.
the woman take him finger and unlock the phone. You get a man say, no, boy, again it comes to trust issues, but this expression of jealousy, this, and boy, you're brighter than me, but bro, like, me seriously just see this again as
Yeah, man.
telltale signs that there is some subconscious thing, something that is unresolved that needs to be checked. Right? It needs to be checked.
It goes back again to the confidence that that girl is given about father.
Yeah.
Can father be trusted? So she does not feel that, no, I'm with this man, I need to go and check his phone. You know the story about Eve waking up in the middle of the night, go and check Adam ribs to make sure
Yes, I'm a come from the thru.
I wonder if anything else I wonder if any more makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we have to go back to help our men understand just what we do when we model trust before our daughters.
Yeah.
So that she knows that when she goes into this new space, she don't have to be jealous and she don't have to be clingy. She don't have to always be picking the phone. Babes, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Or put it on, put the phone on video so I can know where you are.
Yeah. Boy, I will say all that happened to me.
Bobby, Bobby, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man.
No, babes. Let me see your surroundings.
Boy, you know, that's a bridge of mine, though. If get drop off a ball game and he left the phone in the car because his girlfriend was going to use the car. So we say, yo, what? Him say, brother, as him come out, him say, yo, I'm good enough because before God, so brother, I mean, it was like it was a conscious thing.
Yeah,
and lady, if your husband or boyfriend has to do this to satisfy some kind of longing that you have within you, what we are saying, again, we are giving you some basis to look into yourself. The unexamined life is not worthwhile living. And if you are the jealous type, no, why? I heard Noel made a point, Napoleon, before we come off the jealousy thing. Why is jealousy such a bad thing? If the Bible says that God is a jealous God, why is jealousy such a bad thing?
Yeah. Of and for is a significant difference.
Yeah.
Of, in terms of, I'm afraid, I am less than, I am risking,
Yeah.
or for, I'm protecting, I'm safeguarding, I'm uplifting.
Yeah.
Two different things, you know? And if it is a jealousy that says, I'm jealous of what you have, I'm jealous of what you have become, I'm jealous of how you may treat me, all of those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm jealous of losing out, so I have to put my heel in your neck, kind of a thing. No, that's not it. That's destructive. And women tend to do that because of what they saw their fathers have done to their mothers. You know, and they feel now that they're being informed. But what it does, it is feeding a deeper thing that cannot be satisfied in knowing just one piece of information.
Yeah.
The more somebody is locked into needing to look, means that they're going to want to know more the next time.
Yeah, yeah.
And okay, so you're not knowing enough now from what you saw on the WhatsApp messages. You then decide, oh, it must be that he or he's deleting the messages.
Yeah.
It must be that the change in language. It must be that him start calling her another name, feeling so bad. And because of, the imagination goes wild and trust is destroyed. So much so now that people become like Jericho.
Yeah,
nothing in, nothing out.
Yeah.
Locked up in themselves. And so it kills the relationship. Anytime a relationship has to go to searching for information, it's gone. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done because you have, by that act, said that this relationship is not an open, honest, vulnerable, free, safe relationship.
Yeah.
And that's what fathers have done. And this is what the girls have learned. And this is why you hear them say, I can't trust you.
Yeah.
I can't trust
you know, Naps, these are, and again, we just want to put a disclaimer out there. We're not broad brushing anything. But I've seen this in so many individuals, both vicariously seeing it in my friend's life. And I'm just a bit solemn as we're talking about this, because I want our females to come to a place where they are healed, where they are whole. And these are not primarily Christian females. I mean, I want to say everybody, but it really saddens me when I see this in the church and the church tell them to pray about it. Or it's because they don't have enough Holy Spirit and these kind of things. You know, we have to take these things into consideration and really and truly help our men to mend some of these situations, because this is not all lost, right? This is not all lost. There is a way back. On the other side of Austin, we're going to pick up on one particular topic, Naps, that we can't leave out of the conversation when we talk about daddy issues. Is it a matter of preference, or is it a matter of the pain that the female would have gone through and what I've been speaking about before? So listen, people, this is Ishden. We're not gone away. We just go throw over to Brother Austin. Father Austin, talk to the people. We'll soon come back. Boom!
Greetings. Dedicated to all my sisters who have only received self-righteous prattling, intransigence. With eyes damned by tears and lips trembling like a jackhammer, she haltingly sotto voce wept a wail. I feel like a beach fish dying from too much oxygen. With my spirit, I cradled her thumping heart in my empathy, soothing the sorrow in her soul. It didn't work at first, for she was floundering in unfamiliar territory of grief and despair. I loaned her my experiences with depression, took them back, and then gifted her with the way out, the way I got out. Said I, a fish does not need a bicycle. Here is my prescription of water. Imbibe it nip by sip. Now breathe. without her umbilical cord of hope tied to that which she hitherto called a life, she angered towards anarchy. With a push to my chest, she balled up her fists and bawled out, "No! I crave not canned comfort. I want to murder death. Assassinate the bitch that gave birth to the dog called dying. Interfering, interminable interloper. Within my innermost being of being, I acceded, Allah agreed with her stage of grief. How could I not, with this knot in my emotions, infinitely larger than a knot? Struggling to remain present in my own life, I brainstormed to be relevant in hers. With my voice, I said naught. But with my desperate, empathetic eyes, I tried to euthanize the beautiful lies of life. Double dealing duplicity. With or without, she remained in doubt, being an impecunious spiritual student, dutifully because of desertion. I'm here, I said. Where are the others? She demanded. I'm here, I said. Where are the others? She persisted. Those bastards who tell you that they love you using Jesus' name in vain, but ignoring you because you don't play their denominational game. The opposite of love is apathy. Jesus died on the cross, but they didn't rise with him. They are still in the tomb of hypocrisy. With my left hand, I stroked her right face. Without my voice, I said an angst grace. Within her minute space, there was a chin-high wall and a cage. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, so long as I'm certain, she said. Death is certain, I unthinkingly, with naivety, wish I had not said. The moment the last syllable left my mouth was the precise moment it hit me that my words had hit her, like sticks and stones. Acceptance flickered in her eyes for a nanosecond, then flamed out like a stricken matchbook box in the midst of a storm. She then regressed to where she was, midway straddling denial and anger. She spewed spittle and biblical words at me. Can a woman's tender care cease towards the child she bears? Withholding my self-righteous sanity, I conjoined with her lucid lunacy. God is. She gently placed her index finger pointed upwards vertically on my horizontal lips. God, I trailed off again as her pleading, weeping eyes begged me to stop. I, me, we were the cause of her intransigence. How can I now ask someone to change when my lack of action and compassion in season is the very reason that that person refuses to change? I couldn't catch her because we are the reason she had already fallen. I bowed my head, not in prayer, but in regret. I failed to think with my heart instead of my head. She lifted my chin, rested her forehead on my forehead, and subtly, softly said, "Pray for yourself." Bless.
Yo, 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 welcome my people, my people, my people. This is Ishdead and I'm your boy Robert Green. You just heard Father Austin doing his thing as usual. Last week, the last program, Father Austin read a poem from a friend of mine, Venetia Rochester. Big up yourself, Ven. Her book is out, A Dawning of the Wind, I think is the name of the book. You can find it on Amazon, different platforms on Amazon, whether you are in the UK, US, or Canada. You can go on and find it. Very, very good poet. He's a sister of mine, so check it out. Right? So, Naps, so back again at this. And we want to close off by looking at this thing. Is it a matter of preference? Right? The dating of older men. And we probably can look at it in terms of a serial monogamist who dates older men. So she's not promiscuous. She don't have 10 different men. She's always in a monogamous relationship, but she does it in a serial manner, and it's oftentimes with older men. Is this a matter of preference only? Or could it be that there are further issues, underlying issues there?
What about me things to me, yeah, virgin?
This is a googly.
Seriously, it is something that's important to look at.
Mm-hmm.
It is important to look at because there are going to be those legitimate expressions of love between an older man and a younger woman. That happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we applaud it and we affirm it. And I don't know what is the opposite of cougar, but the others are what I'm saying. Yeah. but also the danger is that a young girl may be still looking for her father.
Yeah.
Because the attachment never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so she finds herself in this constant pursuit of father. And every relationship that fails because she has not found father pushes her into another relationship as she still looks for father.
Yeah.
She will never date somebody her age. She will never date somebody younger than herself. You will hear her give all kinds of reasons. The younger one have no sense, they're not mature, and so on. Because in the unfolding of her understanding of herself, there has not been that connection made with dad. There has not been that settling. There has not been that linking with father, which is so important in her own growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
And consequently, she is in that frame psychologically in which she continues the pursuit for that.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous thing. It's not readily admitted to, but how it works out itself in the relationship always is the ultimate evidence that what she was looking for was not husband, was not life partner. She was still looking for father. And tragically, Bobby, some of our sisters get caught there. I hope that we're seeing just how important father is in those formative years in terms of what subsequently happens to a woman, how she makes some of the choices that she has made, and how the failure of father, because of his own wounds too. Nobody taught him. Perhaps for some of our men, they are hearing some of these things for the first time. You know? And he's saying, well, I really failed. Well, I want to say there's hope.
Yeah.
And this is why we're having this conversation as well. So we can begin the process of treating with it, dealing with it, reorganizing and giving some help.
Yeah. And on the out, bro. Before we make the out, but on the out, what I wanted to do is to, as you said, there's hope. I wanted to address the fathers, you know. So they may be feeling disheartened because to hear some stuff that you have been doing and to be confronted by certain things that you may not have been doing right is never going to be easy to take. Right? So on the out, I wanted to just to encourage the fathers to either, however you want to do it. You do it the Napoleon Black way.
Yeah.
Quick fire before we go up on the out.
Yeah.
So there's one that I found that I really, really like. This one I did last week. I never do it justice. Strength, courage, mastery, and honor are the alpha values of men all over the world. And that's Jack Donovan.
And he's right, because it is value which drive us more than stuff around us.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we hear the idea of the bling and he must have this and he must have that. When those things are taken away from us, as has been the case here largely in COVID, what is left? Those very values.
Yeah.
And this is why, if we're going to be successful, we're going to need values over stuff. Very, very important.
Yeah. And Elizabeth Elliot, like this one, stand true to your calling to be a man. Real women will always be relieved and grateful when men are willing to be men.
And that's so, so important. And we know Elizabeth Elliot's story.
Yeah.
Just what she went through in terms of her own life story and so on. And that's the truth. When men begin to live lives underpinned by true values, women will notice, and it will elevate the relationship, and it will certainly elevate family life.
Yeah. And Abe, good old Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
No man stands so tall as when he stoops to help a child.
Especially, and all I can say to that, especially his daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It is conversations like these why we do this. Right? We not look to be, I mean, if we monetize the channel, then cool, but we're not looking to be YouTube stars.
Absolutely.
We just want to deal this, and we want churches to, share it in a local thing. If you want to get copies, I can send the copies for free. Right? Yeah. And you download them and you show it in your men's ministry, show them in your youth ministry. However you want to use this material, we are saying that we will give it to you to use. We'll give it to you for free. But it's on YouTube, you can use it like that. No copyright issues. If I'm contacting about copyright, just contact us. Napoleon, speak to our fathers. Why are they important in their daughter's life? Absolutely.
And first of all, we want to say that we're not here as paragons of virtue.
No.
Preaching a thing that certainly not. I have made a lot of mistakes with growing my two children.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful to God for grace and mercy. So we're not saying that we are here telling we get everything right. Well, Bobby don't start yet, but just to make the point. Yet.
Yeah.
Just to make a point. But we have a space in where there's enough in the scriptures that point us in the right direction in terms of what fathers ought to be doing in the lives of their children, especially in the lives of their in the lives of their daughters, to make them healthy, whole, and not hungry and hurting.
Yeah.
So we believe that. And so we want to pull those narratives, we want to pull those issues up and out to help us. Still in the process, Bob is still to begin his process, others in the process to get there. So what we're saying is we are in process.
Yeah.
Then there are some brothers who say, boy, I never know these things, and the guilt, we're not into guilting you, we're not into shaming you. We are saying, well, there may be a space in which to go back to daughter and say, what kind of father have I been?
Yeah.
And that might help to begin a conversation to help reshape some things. We can't ask you to go back. What we can ask you to do is start where you are.
Yeah.
Make a difference. And then we just want to commend those fathers who have given it everything. Again, they never get everything right, but you gave it everything, and you see your daughter, and your daughter is coming back and saying to you, thank you, Dad.
Yeah.
We want to commend you, and we want to say that's a model we want to get.
Yeah.
Again, we're not pushing perfection. We're not saying everything is right, but we are saying we're glad that there's some brothers who are properly on the journey. And that's what we want above all else.
Yeah.
We want to appreciate that.
Big talk. And I'm happy to share the stage with two men who have done this. Both men are fathering daughters, Napoleon and Austin. And, it is great to watch these men do them thing and get a lot of it right. Napoleon is humble enough, but he has gotten a lot of it right. So big up yourself, Yannick. Go on their thing. Thank you, people, for joining us. This has been Ishden. Again, you can jump over, if you're watching this on Facebook, which you will, you can jump over on YouTube and search for The Ishden, the only station with that name. I'm happy. So easy to find. You can watch the previous videos, like, subscribe, and share. We want to have persons coming to these truths, so like, subscribe, and share. You can also jump over to Instagram and follow me at Yahweh Height, right? So thank you guys for joining us. Until next week, this has been Robert Green on behalf of Napoleon Black and Father Austin. Big up on yourself. Boom!
Someone told me about your love, how you came from heaven above. came from heaven above.